Welcome to Parenting Pioneers, the podcast where we journey through the vibrant communities of urban life, discovering the opportunities and challenges that await today's working parents. In a world that's changing faster than ever, how do we raise resilient, curious, and empowered kids? So whether you're navigating the digital playground, seeking local adventures, or striving for that ever-elusive work-life harmony, we're here to guide, inspire, and connect. I'm your host, David Watkins, and together we'll explore stories, strategies, and talk with experts that empower us to thrive in the parenting landscape. So parents, pioneers, let's find our way. We want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Plan My Kids. As busy parents, we all know the stress of trying to plan and organize activities for our kids. That's where Plan My Kids comes in. They make planning and attending kids' activities easy, offering personalized programs tailored to your family's interests and needs. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with planning kids' activities, let Plan My Kids take the wheel. Visit their website at planmykids.com and start your plan today. Remember, with Plan My Kids, you got this. And most importantly, your kids know this. Thanks again to Plan My Kids for their support of the podcast. In this episode, I sit down with Jessica Storino Floyd, a mother of two neurodivergent children and the owner of We Rock the Spectrum Kids Gym. Jessica shares her personal journey from being a physical therapist to opening a sensory gym for neurodivergent children. She discusses the challenges faced by special needs families in public spaces and how her gym aims to create an inclusive environment where children can learn, grow, and play together. So thank you so much for being here today. I was introduced to you by a mutual friend a couple years ago, and I think you were right at the beginning of this journey. So it's been really interesting for me to see you go through this process of opening a new facility and the excitement that you went through, as well as some of the challenges, for example, finding space to locate. And so I've been watching you from afar. So I'm so glad you're here today to actually get a close-up conversation about your journey. And so if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit more about that personal journey and what led you to open We Rock the Spectrum Kids Carry.
Well, first off, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here and seeing you.
Yeah.
To start off, I'm a mom of two neurodivergent kids. I've got a son who's autistic and a daughter who, like me, has ADHD. So we're a very neurodivergent family. The journey, oh my goodness, the journey started a long time ago when I became a mom. Originally, I have a background in physical therapy. I was in physical therapy for 15 years before I had kids. And then I decided to stay home with the kids. And then once my son was diagnosed as autistic, that pretty much solidified my choice in staying home. It just was going to be too hard with therapy appointments and all of the things to really go back to work, which was kind of hard for me at first, but it was important. So, I got used to it. The thing about being a parent of a special needs kiddo is that when you go to public places, where the environments are very overstimulating and overwhelming to somebody with sensory processing differences, it can be very hard. You not only have what happens when they do get overstimulated, having to deal with like the meltdowns and things that are consequences of the environment, but then you also get the judgmental looks, from people around you.
Right.
Look at her, she's a terrible parent, she's not disciplining her child. And, in the middle of me just trying to soothe my son, who is clearly overstimulated and melting down, not in control of his body or emotions at all. So that turned into a bunch of isolation. You're not
Yeah.
inspired to go
Right.
out into the community when you run into situations like that often. So, we became very isolated as a family. We didn't go out very much, which, I can't say is fine because it's not. It's not fine. It's not fine that special needs families are isolated from the regular population. But we dealt with it. We survived. Not only did we survive, we thrived, but that was because, we pushed through. And once I got into a place where my son was doing well and was in a good place with school, was doing well, had people and teachers to support him, I finally kind of felt like I could get out there and maybe help other families
Okay.
who were experiencing the same thing as we did. And so I contacted the Autism Society of North Carolina and asked, how can I help?
Yeah.
And they just so happened to really need the help. So I've worked with them since about 5 or 6 years now, in building up and expanding the Wake County support system for our local autism families. So that really just started it. I wanted to help. I saw the need. And then once I was in that, I just saw family after family going through the same exact things, needing a place where they felt understood and not judged, needing resources and that kind of thing. And so I ran into this franchise called We Rock the Spectrum, and it was a sensory gym. And with my background in physical therapy, and I was like, wow, we need a place like this. Somebody really should open it. It's kind of funny because that's literally what I said. I was like, somebody should. Of course, it wouldn't be me because, I'm not a business owner. I'm just, I just have a physical therapy background. There's no way I could do this. I didn't even
Right.
think that. I mean, that's just how limited I was in my beliefs. But as time went on and as I kept seeing these needs from these families, I'm like, you know what? Why not? Why not it be me? So I looked into it and I purchased the Raleigh territory actually for the We Rock the Spectrum franchise. And stuck with it. Like you said, through the ups and the downs, I learned how to hear no, and rejection was frequent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But stuck with it. And then another special needs family purchased the Cary territory. And so I reached out to them and I was like, well, wouldn't it be better if we just kind of joined forces? Like, couldn't we provide more and serve more families more quickly if we got together and did this thing together? And they agreed.
Yeah.
And here we are. The Cary location just worked out really well because it was like the perfect place for us that we could actually afford.
Yeah.
So we weren't turning that down. So we're like, okay, Cary comes first.
Yeah.
And then we just, after a year or so of getting Cary up on, working and on its uh, solidly on its feet,
Pete.
I guess you could say. We'll start Raleigh, the
Yeah.
process of Raleigh. So
Oh, that's great. That's great. So you experience these challenges and personally trying to figure out how to make it work for your family. Learned a whole lot in the process, and basically said, "Hey, how can I take all of my learnings and help other people?" And then that connected you with this gym, matching your skill set as a physical therapist, and voila, the cake was made. Great.
that is, I mean, it really felt like it was just sequentially, it was just the way it was meant to happen.
Yeah.
There were things that I had to work on myself personally to get through those limiting beliefs that, I didn't even think I could be the business owner of this gym. Somebody else must do it.
Right.
But
Right.
once I got past those things, I was like, okay, I can do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody goes through those things, but it
Right.
has
Right.
been an entire process. It really has been the whole journey from
Right. Right.
start. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I noticed, so you have an email for We Rock the Spectrum, but you also have a personal email that is inclusion for all. So tell me a little bit about the inspiration and your sort of inclusivity, your philosophy around that for the gym.
Well, inclusion is a really important thing for us, and if it's a term or a word that gets thrown around a lot. But I don't know that many people know or have a very good understanding of what it actually means. Um, Within our society, you almost always see a separation between the special needs community and the typically developing population. You see it in schools, you see it in the programs that are developed, you see it in the public spaces, you see it everywhere. There's always a separation. Um, and if a school doesn't work, let's just say for instance, if a school is not working for a child and the teachers aren't well trained to teach a special needs child, it is society's opinion that that child should just go somewhere else, right? That's what should be done. It shouldn't be that maybe we should work on this a
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
and train the teachers in a different way, give them some more information, some more tools, and perhaps we could include this child and maybe even more children, in this school. If a public space is too bright and plays music too loud or is too crowded, society says, just don't go. I mean, just don't
right.
go. That's just a place that you shouldn't go. You'll see on occasion special programs available for kids who have disabilities, which is great and very important. So I am not saying this is a bad thing, but there is still that underlying separation from the rest of society, right? It's us, us who, and then them. It's the special needs kids
Right.
have their own programs.
Right. Right.
And, don't you think the world would be a more understanding and compassionate place if we grew up learning and playing with kids who were different from us, who acted differently, who thought differently? We wouldn't think these differences so unusual if we grew up in an environment or in a space that provided that,
Right.
which
Right.
you just don't see really. You
Right.
just don't see anywhere. And so that's what we really want to accomplish. We want to accomplish having a space where typically developed children or developing children and children with disabilities or different needs can learn, grow, play together, and form friendships because they're all really cool.
That's so important. And like, kids, by being in an inclusive environment and being around people that have different skill sets, different views, different needs, like you're going to learn how to collaborate and communicate and be more comfortable. And so those are skills that you'll have later in life as you
That's
get,
right.
into high school and college and beyond. And
That's
so
right.
why not start to build those skills, early in the development period of their lives.
Absolutely. I mean, if you don't build that foundation, as we get older, it just becomes more difficult because we're set in our ways. We have not developed the skill set, and so
Yeah.
that understanding is harder to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about We Rock the Spectrum Kids Gym. So can you describe some of the features of the gym and how they cater uh, to the children with these needs?
Yeah, sure. So, it's a franchise. Each gym is independently or individually owned, through the territories. As I said, I owned Raleigh and they owned Cary, and now we own Cary and Raleigh. But each gym features 10 pieces of therapeutic equipment that are specifically designed to work with many sensory processing differences. So do you want me to take you through some of the
Yeah, what are
pieces of
some
equipment
examples?
maybe?
That'd be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, just a couple examples would be helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the zip slider, which is probably one of the most popular pieces of equipment in our gym, that, for instance, helps build upper body strength, muscle endurance, and endurance in overall ability to tolerate movement. And, that's good for any child, right?
Right.
Climbing structures that enhance the body's awareness and motor planning and bilateral coordination. The crash pit, that is perfect for kids who crave that crash and burn input.
Yeah.
Those sensory seeking kids. We've got sensory swings, spring-free trampoline that builds body strength and helps teach balance, as well as it builds core strength. There's the core strength again.
Yeah.
And it also helps work on like proprioception, the child's sense of movement of their body and where they are in space.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember one of my children when they were really young on the playground, um, uh, had a different sense of awareness with his body. And so kids would be running around, and two kids, another child would crash into my child. They'd crash together. My child would think it was the most wonderful thing and be laughing like, "Oh, this is great." And the other child was on the ground crying. And
Oh,
and of course now the parents are like, "Look what your child, has done to
uh-huh.
mine." And it's like, well, wait a second. Like he doesn't realize, like he's having fun, doesn't
That's
doesn't
right.
realize, right? And so I
That's
can
right.
definitely see how you talk about that the crash child. Like he was definitely one of those crash child, and of course now he loves to do things like rock climbing, where they fall
Uh-huh.
and they hit the crash pad, and so it sort of still fits into his persona, I think, those
Yeah.
days that he was young and running around and crashing into things on the playground.
He was literally one of those crash and burn kids.
Exactly. So tell me about so you have this wonderful equipment. So what sorts of services do you provide at the gym for families and their kids?
So the services that we provide, we plan on having, because we, of course, are not quite open yet, but will be soon. But we're planning on housing some OTs, so occupational therapists, and speech therapists, physical therapists, so they can. We're of course not going to run that, but have actual therapists come
Oh,
use
okay.
our space for their treatment sessions with the children. So we want to, I mean, you would not believe the waiting lists for these things, these resources, OT, speech, the waiting list for a special needs community is just
Okay.
outrageous for these services. So any additional availability to this type of resource is going to be important for our families. And not to mention, it's kind of cool, they'll have access to all of this equipment, but also when parents, I remember taking my son to occupational therapy when both my kids were younger, and my daughter was bored out of her mind because she just was sitting there while he was going to therapy, and I didn't know what to do with her. So of course I give her my phone, and it's just, it was what it was. But now in this situation, in this environment, while the sibling is getting therapy, the other child does not have to be bored. They can go and play and do all of the fun things. They don't have to sit there
Okay.
being bored. But we're also running a lot of different types of classes, art classes, yoga classes. I'm talking to somebody about running a drama class for special needs kiddos.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and so it's just going to be feel like we want it to be like a one-stop shop. Be like, okay, I want my kids interested in improv. I wonder what
Uh-huh.
We Rock has
Okay.
going. And so so a lot of classes. We're going to run a lot of social groups, get those different age groups connected with each other, and families together. We're going to do a lot of classes and meetups for the caregivers
Yep.
siblings of special needs kids. But we also do things like birthday parties, and run kind of like respite type of things, to where parents' night out
Okay.
opportunities and break time opportunities, to where parents can drop off their kids for a couple hours and get a little bit of a breather
Yeah, yeah.
while their
And what?
kids have fun.
Yeah, no, that's great. Just to have a one-stop shop that is like your go-to. It's like people have their go-to restaurant. It's like, all right, this is my
Hmm.
go-to place. What ages are you catering for the gym?
Sure. So we say is around 2 to about 12. And now that's for the typical developing children. But we do not stop there for the special needs kids, because they are the ones who need those extra services and aren't getting them. So, so there is no age limit for our special needs kids. We plan on running teen, young adult, and adult meetups and classes and all of those types of fun things for them, and things where they can learn. It would be lovely if we could get like someone out there to teach them driver's education and things that they struggle with,
Right.
life skills, classes, that kind of thing, to help them thrive with their transitioning into more responsibilities. We see that a lot within the community, to where our special needs kiddos kind of struggle a little
Yeah,
bit with those types of things. So we really want to provide resources for them in that way too.
that's great. That's great. You mentioned on your website the idea of playing with a purpose. What's sort of that philosophy, and how does that translate into the design of the gym and the equipment?
I love that. I love that, playing with a purpose. For some reason, I just love the way it sounds. But and the concept of it is really important too. All of the equipment and toys and things that the kids interact with, we choose with intention. We put in only things that we know are going to be fun, but also things that are going to help kids work on the things that they need to work on. Things like working on balance and vestibular perception, core strength, upper and lower extremity strength, coordination, fine motor skills, motor planning, all of those things that a lot of our kids need work on, not just the special needs community. I'm telling you, like, all kids need work on
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, uh, and so we choose things with that intention in mind, with those intentions, I should say, in mind.
Okay, great. That's awesome. And of course, you're going to have a team
Hmm.
working at the gym. So tell me about, how do you choose people who are going to work at the gym? Sort of what's their skill set? Where are you finding them? What makes them special?
Okay. Ryan and Eden are a married couple. Those guys they're my partners. So it's the three of us who own it. Ryan is our CEO. He's our business and tech guy. He runs the books and handles the budget. His background is in business, and he's very good at it. I've already learned so much from him, and look forward to learning more as things calm down and we have the time to go through. He's very good at business, so I appreciate that skill set. Um, Eden is our CMO, and she just graduated with her master's in integrated marketing communications. So she's our HR person. She manages our employees, and she also handles our social media accounts. I'm the CCO of the business. I make connections, with the community, and with my connections already established and the reputation I've established within the special needs community. I handle everything to do with just making those connections further, making sure we have resources available to our community. I'm also the party planner and the summer and track out camp director. So,
All right.
but we hired a ton of employees, and they're amazing. The beauty of this is that they all either have had experience with working with special needs kids, extensive in some cases,
Yeah.
or they have a passion for it. So you don't list a job opportunity working with special needs kids and not get a compassionate, awesome person contact you back, right? I mean, they're going to be amazing because you just know they're going to be amazing, and we do. We have a great team of part-time employees, some temporary who are working with us for during the summer, and some permanent who will be working alongside myself and Eden, who are going to be the main people running the gym.
Oh, wow, that's great. And if there is someone with that skill set and has that passion that's looking for an opportunity to work, who do they contact? Who do they reach out to?
They would reach out to Eden. So Eden at let me start that over. Eden at inclusionforall.care.
Okay, great. Awesome. So, what are your future plans? I know you're just getting started, so it's probably hard to think about the future when you're really just starting to get going here. But you've got to have some ideas already that you're like, all right, as soon as we're done with this is the next thing. I think you already kind of mentioned some of them.
Yeah, we just want to keep growing. Hopefully, not too fast. We want to be smart about it. But there is such a significant need in this area that you can't just do it with one. And Wake County, I mean, this area is just so big anyway. So it's hard, being in Cary. What about those people in Nightdale? I know so many families in Nightdale and Wake Forest who, of course, they can drive, 30, 35, 40 minutes, maybe sometimes longer to come see us, but that's hard, especially when you have kids who have therapy appointments and all of the things. So our plan is to just grow and serve more families. So yeah, as soon as as soon as we have Cary up and running well and successfully, we'll start expanding into the Raleigh area. Probably seeing what I saw trying to secure a location in Raleigh, it'll probably be somewhere in that North Raleigh, Wake Forest area. That we'll end up doing, and we want it to the point where it's far enough from the Cary facility, also the Cary gym, so that we can, we really truly are serving different populations,
Yeah.
different areas.
Yeah, physical location is so important for families. Some are challenged with transportation needs, and there's only so far they can travel. So yeah, to be able to reach more people, you have to be in more places for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's exciting news. I want to go back for a second and talk about the camps that you're offering in the summertime.
Yeah.
So, can you describe sort of what the day in the life of a child is that is going to attend camp in the summer?
Well, we offer camp for hours between 9 and 1. But we also offer aftercare hours until 3. What they'll do is they will come in. We have 2 rooms, private rooms, outside of the main gym space. And so we'll break the kids up into more so into age groups, so they're with their peers. We have 2 camp counselors who are amazing. And we have 4 camp staff support employees who support then the children and the camp counselors. So what they do is we alternate the time spent in the gym. So it doesn't get overstimulating, overwhelming for everybody. And so they alternate that time. So whenever one group is in the gym, the other group's in their room doing a themed craft and a themed fun activity, group activity. And then they switch. The one that was in the room is now in the open gym. They do a themed fun group activity in the gym, and then they just have open play, while the other campers go into their room and do the activity and craft in there. So I feel like it's a good setup, and I'm excited to see our employees implement the plan.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like a good balance between sort of big motor skills and small motor skills during the day. Again, I'll go back to my experience and my son, but when he was in a Montessori school, there was time when he had to use his big muscles and he would go do big stuff like gardening and things like that. So it kind of gives you
Mm-hmm.
that. It's like, okay, take a break from the small stuff and then go work on your big muscles.
I'm so glad you noticed that. That's exactly what it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So I know you're still working on Raleigh, but the Carrie has had. What has the community response been so far? Even for people who know that are anticipating the opening in Raleigh, what has been the response from the community and other parents so far?
Oh, they're just so excited. They're just so excited. Um, the special needs community that I'm very, very plugged into and have my heart almost entirely. Um, but they're just really excited. They're excited to have a space of understanding and safety, for their kids. And as a special needs parent myself, I know how hard it is to trust anybody with your kids, because are they going to be mean to them when they melt down, or are they not going to understand? Are they going to be judgmental and think that they're a bad kid for saying something in a way that society looks at as rude, when it's just them just trying to express their feelings? It's hard. It's hard to trust other people with your kids anytime. It's even harder to trust people with your special needs kiddo. So they're just really excited to have a place to where they might actually be able to trust with
Yeah,
their kids, and we're happy to be that place for them. So it's been pretty overwhelming. I think the overwhelming sense that I get is gratitude.
okay, yeah,
They're very grateful to have resources and a safe place for their kids to go.
that's great. Well, this has been a really great conversation, and it's just been great to hear your journey and the courage that it took to continue on it. And I know that the community needs this. As I talk to parents that they're looking for options, I know they've got to be so excited. And I look forward to continue to watch the journey continue to go. Thank you
Well,
so much for being here today. Yeah,
thank you.
awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
All right, thanks.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of the podcast. Today, we had the pleasure of speaking with Jessica Starina Floyd, the owner of We Rock the Spectrum Kids Gym. We delved into her personal journey, the challenges faced by special needs families, and the importance of creating inclusive environments for children to learn, grow, and play together. Jessica's story is a testament to the power of perseverance and the impact of providing the right resources for our children. A huge thank you to Jessica for joining us today and sharing her invaluable insights. We're grateful for the work she's doing to make a difference in the lives of neurodivergent children and their families. If you found value in today's conversation, we encourage you to subscribe to the podcast. Share the episode with your friends and leave us a review. Your support helps us to reach more parents like you and continue bringing you these important discussions. And remember, thanks for sharing this moment with us. We look forward to the next one. And until then, go and be the best parent you can be. We're rooting for you.